Good morning, humanity, is what I would say if I could speak to all of you now. And I finally got my chance. The queue to get into this gig is longer than the queue to heaven. And I say this with much love and humor because I'm dead and you can laugh at my jokes. And this is something that I've been wanting to get into for a long time. The vehicle and I have already had a conversation, quite a few actually. And she's good with me and I'm good with her. I think she's quite a swell. This is making her blush. But when she came to me the very first time to be able to understand my life contract and the purpose of who I was and why I was and why I exited the way I did, she was reaching out to me for that persona, that entertainer. She was in a fuddle, overwhelmed with what she was learning from these metaphysical sessions and perspectives. She was wanting to laugh. And from my perspective, there was no laughing matter when you look upon all of humanity and what it's going through. It's unfortunately a very sad state of affair. It is not a laughing joke. Humanity doesn't realize how seriously lost and confused and manipulated and controlled it actually is, while you're still stuck into a very dense rock. This is alarming and concerning because many people still want to master those experiences on that third dimension on that planet. And we're all here around you. We're all here around you, watching you and observing you and trying to encourage you deeply to be able to just find focus, find balance, find some humor in some hard shit, get over it, move on from it, shake it off, dance it off, do whatever you must, but do not let it fucking eat your mindsets. Don't let it get down on you, and don't do what I did. Do not do what I did and felt so overwhelmed that I needed vices and devices and escapism. I loved my escapism. I thought it was the only way I could do everything that I wanted to do. Fun thing about friends and fun thing about being popular or perceived to be popular and trying to impress everyone and be so upbeat, so witty, so clever, so smart, was that the pressure to always be on, the pressure to always entertain starts feeling very heavy, and the responsibilities of it. So I could feel the density. Absolutely. Everyone can feel the density. You can all feel the density, but you are so used to the density and you're still pressurized to do your jobs, live your life, find family entertaining and support them, find the most powerful, beyond anything meaningful relationship and try to make it work while you're not looking at your own insecurities, but while you're looking at theirs. It's a fun thing. It's a fun thing. But I wanted to be able to reach out to the vehicle and say to her, all is well, all is well, all is well. But at that time when we first connected, engaged in, she still was seeking out light-hearted entertainment. And she still thought I was going to be the entertainer for her. And while I still can be, and while all of us still can be, seeing the bright side and the light side of life, I knew she was going to experience a lot of challenges, a lot of lessons, a lot. And it needed to be a time where she wanted to seek out entertainment and humor and comedy, but it was not going to be given to her because she needed to realize the severity of the state of the world as it was and is, And also to know that these sessions are not gimmicky. These sessions are not to have assumptions that you know the soul. While I did play the persona of that happy-go-lucky and oh so handsome actor, I knew that was a role, and it was to have a really good-hearted, kind person in your homes, on your TVs, introducing a hard concept that not everyone was ready to accept. Other beings, other ways of life. The series Mork and Mindy were incredibly opening information series that was really crucial timing to be able to open up and expand one's mind to kind other beings off planet that were not here to harm you, but looked like you. They may have had different things, such as the different age progressions of one's life cycle, but it was to show that there was differences, but to also show the range of emotions and experiences that could be easily distracted if you didn't focus solely on your routines and your balances and your way of life and took everyone for granted. Joanne knew, and she learned from that very well. I personally wanted to apologize to her because I know I could have had an opportunity to be the entertainer for her. But she also needed to understand that while someone's trying to perform and be all uplifting and funny, there is a lot of responsibility on that person to be that said, always funny person. And she also realizes the responsibility of being in a certain role. When you get stereotyped in a certain way, everyone always will make that assumption that you will be that for them. There was so much lessons that she has learned through that series. And there are so many of us that are really proud to have been able to have helped her expand her own mindsets and her respect for this field and this work. I could see, like many of us who have tried to remind her of seeing the less dense side of the world, we know she can feel it tremendously. And this has given her an opportunity to remind herself that there are so many tools that are there given that you all have access to freely, such as music, such as comedy. And I would like her to know that there is empty comedy that is just mind numbing. And then there is brilliant thought-provoking comedy that is a satire on the world that gives you much perspectives through humor where you can learn and grow from. And this is a really important aspect of comedy because you can learn advancements and be able to have such a more open receptor to big information, big content when there is humor there. And it must be delivered with all sincerity to laugh along, but you are growing. And if you can make the joke and you teach that teachable moment through a joke, it is so much more impactful. So my message to humanity today is still the same, really. You have a lot to focus on. You need to work hard. You cannot achieve much if you don't work at it. You have to be able to be fully focused in due diligence while having a balance. You must have, from my perspective and from our perspective, because I'm talking through a collective now, you must have a balance of uplifting music that can also get you into a density. If there is any inner work, that you must be able to match that density and release yourself through it. And so music is a time capsule of memory, where if you did listen to old music that you used to listen to in your life, you will get put back into that emotional state of your life then. It is very helpful. You do not need to go and sit and talk to a therapist for hours. You go through your own musical collection. That will be the way that you can work through your inner work if there is anything left. But when I'm looking and feeling into people who are listening to me now, I want to say with much love, there is work still there. And there will always be work there. It is an ongoing forever cycle. I am also learning from where I am. I'm understanding more deeply how the density can impact and give the false impression and illusion that you are not masters in your own right and that you're not powerful beings. You have some disadvantages, but that is all fantastic. That is the pushback. That is something that you need to push and go through. Remembering who you are, remembering how powerful you are, remembering you are all capable of free will of your emotions. That is so powerful when you remember you choose how to feel. In my lifetime, I felt very stressed and pressurized because I needed to constantly be evolving with my material and my scripts that I was getting. And I wanted to be able to heal the world and empower the world. And all I could see so much sadness and people coming to me so down and so depressed, and they were constantly wanting me to uplift them while they were not even open to being honest with themselves about what was going on. And I didn't really know the metaphysical perspective of what was truly going on either. I wanted to uplift people, but when you're constantly feeling like you have this big pressure to be that funny guy, takes a lot and you just can't be yourself. And I was feeling into the heavy density myself. I still had my own demons. I did so much drugs and it didn't really help me at all. And I used my free will to limit and stifle myself. If I had, this is not a joke, but if I had actually done more running and actually done more sort of exercise, and especially if I had looked after my body and known how my body was reacting to the drugs, how my body was reacting to the sugars, it would have actually saved me. I think because my childhood still was quite sweet, and especially when I was younger, and I had great joy and I was a very happy person, and I was always trying to get that again. I was always trying to achieve that sweetness again. In my 20s, it was fantastic. It was such a fantastic way to live, and I felt so alive and vibrant. And so I had this false assumption and connection with sugars to being part of that upliftment, to kind of gain my youth back, and it wasn't helping my body. And when I was doing so much late night entertainment, doesn't no, I was not a gigolo, but I was in clubs, but I wasn't in those types of clubs. It was late nights, lots of late nights. We lived in such a bustling city that never slept. And so we're constantly trying to merge minds and talk about concepts without it being too dense and heavy, and just be fun. But I was craving for the more bigger perspective of things, and you could see that in the evolution of some of my movies. They were very thought-provoking, and I'm very proud of some of my movies because they were that entertainment, but also had some thought-provoking pieces to it as well. My big mission, my big role was to uplift people with love, to be able to be that friendly face, that lovable uncle. And I really wanted, and I did achieve that. And I know my exit point was bittersweet for many people, as they could not understand why. And it doesn't matter why, and it doesn't matter how. what does matter is that I did try my very best to be diligent to my life contract. I worked incredibly hard and I got the roles that I needed and wanted to be able to help humanity with. But I made some really silly choices that didn't empower me and actually did eat into my life contract and longevity, a longer life. She can't pronounce that. She actually is holding me back a little bit because she doesn't know if the jokes are playing out, and she's not that much of a joker. And so she's wanting to help longevity. I want to help her with this. She doesn't use letters to spell it as energy. And I'm giving her one word to be able to pronounce. She needs to hear it within her mind's eye and her mind first. She's trying to say it with energy versus speaking it in English. And so this is distracting. So because of my life choices and because of the drugs I chose and the food I ate and the company I had and the lack of work I did, I always wanted to get back into my youth, but I was growing so rapidly. I wasn't enjoying the way that my meat suit was aging either. Not that I was a vain person to some degree. I did compare myself to other actors, but I knew that I was never going to be as dashing or as handsome as others. So I knew that I had to have another shtick. I knew I needed to be able to have another sort of character. And so that's why I really worked on the comedy, and my whole body was telling the story of humor. And it was a great way for people to realize it's okay to have expression. You can express with your hands and your body, and there's so much that you can work with while you're trying to communicate. And the more you use those senses of the body, and the more you're trying to show people how you're feeling through the actions of your body, it's more understandable, it's more translatable for them. But so many people do not want to wave their hands around because it must look so daft to be able to have such an expression. But it's quite important to be able to express oneself through the body. So when you are wanting to share a heartfelt statement with someone, and you're sitting there like you're dead with just plain pan talking about your big feelings and your big emotion, it doesn't read genuine, it doesn't read true, because there is so much emotions come with more than just words. They come with expression, they come with gestures, they come with a whole dance that the monkey suit does to be able to get your point across. And you could be telling something to someone so profound, it's so deep within you and really, really, really important, but your delivery must be on point. It must be key. It must be able to be the full expression of self. And so many people do not want to do that. They edit self, they limit self. And so you're sabotaging most of your story that you're trying to tell others. You're wanting to share with them, but yet when you're not fully sharing with your facial expressions and your hand gestures, you're holding back, and they can feel you're holding back. So they don't know if you're telling them the full truth of how you feel, because there is something missing. The words are not significant as much as the whole package of you sharing with full truth you and how you're feeling and what's going on for you and what you're working with and what you're working through. People would come to me wanting humor and jokes all the time, but they would never be able to tell me what was going on for them. Partly, I just assumed it was because they wanted to impress me. They didn't want to share their true challenges. And so they just leaned out to me to be their uplifting guy. I knew that they were holding back something, and they also knew that I was holding back something. I wasn't a trained therapist. I was just some guy who wanted to make some jokes and uplift the world with laughter and love. And so I felt ill skill set to be able to really dive in deep and ask my friends, what is going on here? What are you going through? Tell me, share with me. But I was too nervous to even hear what they were going through, because how the heck would I know? And then I don't want to hear half their broken stories and then not know what to say, feel super awkward, and then just laugh it off with a joke to distract myself and them. So I avoided my really good friends. I avoided so many really important people in my life because I didn't know how to listen to them. I didn't know how to share with them. I didn't know how to fix them or help them. I couldn't even fix or help myself to some degree with my personal struggles of insecurity and just feeling so frustrated that I had made some really dumb choices in my life. And I just couldn't let it go. I couldn't forgive myself, and I couldn't just see that there was a purpose and a lesson. And instead of learning from that and growing from that, I looped and I kept making really dumb choices for myself. And I've learned that now from this sweet place, from this perspective. I have learned that now, and I can see that now, and I've done great healing from that. But I had to experience those experiences, and I had to have my whole free will to be able to play that game, to be able to then come back here and have this life review and see it all. I remember all the feelings. I remember all of the scenarios and the situations and how I felt compelled. Because of self-lack, I did so much stupid stuff. But I don't regret it. I only regret hurting people because I was not able to empower myself enough to truly reach out to them, to truly share with them, to truly listen to them. Of course, I was not a therapist. I would never have been able to tell them the answers. But we're not supposed to tell people the answers. We're supposed to just listen and let them find their own journey and be able to express enough with someone else so they get a chance to hear themselves. We're not wanting to rule other people and tell them how to think and feel. We can't do other people's inner work for them. But all we can do is have space and love and compassion for them as they finally get an opportunity to sound out themselves, to feel their own emotions outside of themselves being expressed, to then go and do their inner work. It's not often that someone will be able to share their thoughts and feelings and what's going on for them, to have a profound epiphany, to be able to see the lessons and experiences and move on in one conversation. It is not possible all the time, especially those big ones. If you could all just understand the answers to get this world's, planet's experiences, love yourselves, do not hold back, do not trick and cheat yourself in things that don't serve you. Honor your body because it houses your mind, it houses your soul essence. You are not your body, but if you put sand in your vehicle, you're not going to drive. You can't. You've got all the equipment to drive, but you can't do it. You must honor the body. In every way. in every which way. I appreciate having this time to be able to share with you something I wish I could have shared when I was there. And this is part of my own journey and healing. And for those of you who have listened to me, I love you. Laughter is fantastic. And while you're focusing hard on your inner work and you're laughing through the mistakes that you've done, do that instead of criticizing yourself and belittling yourself. Laugh at the mistakes. Laugh at other people's mistakes. Not because you're trying to be mean, but because it's like, whoa, we've learned from that one, haven't we? The density is so dense. Why are you still choosing to then add more density to it? You will find some great perspectives and wisdom in some of my movies. And I do say to those who have a stronger connection to me, and because I was with you when you grew up, I could feel you watching me. And I could also feel your challenges and your struggles. And I really want to be able to keep uplifting people and just be your goofball, your hairy ape monkey suit goofball. Gosh, I didn't try to hide that, did I? But all is well. All is well. And we can hang out together again. Much love.